Headaches looking at that little screen.
I wonder where you disappeared to. She was supposed to bring the big bottle of scotch.
Where's?
I thought you were bringing it. Okay, we're streaming,
Okay,
so,
we are live.
pardon? We're live, so, potential project, we covered those two items in executive session. I need to approve of the February 3rd, 2021 minutes for the IDA executive part. Do I have a motion, please?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Biddle. Do I have a second? Mr. Leggett, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Dewatering road status, I'll let our attorney who worked diligently for many, many weeks and hours on this give you a report.
So we finally got the deeds for the roads portions filed in the county clerk's office. That was done on March 1st. So those subdivisions will take effect for this upcoming tax roll. We got all the pieces together. So what we'll do now is we will reach out to the town of Kingsbury, I'm sorry, and the town of Fort Edward to merge those into one lot. So we'll get that process finalized, but everything is on record. We've got insurance from the parties that have rights to utilize that property through the easement. So we finally wrapped that up.
Any questions for Kara?
How long do you think that'll take to finalize?
The merging.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take long once we have the surveys and everything like that. I think Kingsbury only requires just a written request. I don't know what Fort Edward requires. Every municipality is different as to what they request. If we just say what we need to have is a new tax map number issued for the
Right.
And so once we have all that, then we can just have them merge it into one piece. So
Nice.
I don't know. I hope soon.
Nice. Thank you.
And we also had in line to transfer that piece of property in Fort Edward back to Fort Edward. We're gonna transfer the road from Kingsbury line to the
back to
entrance
that.
of the facility
Yeah.
back to Fort Edward, so they could use their chips for chips money.
Yeah, we can get that together too.
There will be two tax map numbers, one for Kingsbury, one for Fort Edward.
Correct.
Okay.
I think Mr. Losaw tried saying something, but his mute was on.
Oh, yes. I was wondering if we're going to get any CHIPS money this year, so probably doesn't matter.
Not if it's transferred. I don't think you get chips money for this year, it'd be next year.
Yeah, next year, maybe, hopefully.
Okay, good. So, any other questions on dewatering road status? We have been discussions with Fort Edward LEC to take get more involved in marketing activity of that property down there. Those discussions keep on continuing. They had to get a new attorney to look at some information, so we'll go from there. Ally.
The training, Mr. Losai did send you those links for the sexual harassment and workplace violence. So if you want to try to make time for that, that'd be great. Mr. Bruno, we were speaking today. So I sent you the links, just try to make an appointment with the ABO to be able to do your classes and the classes that you did take through work. Certainly carry over to the IDA. So once I have those certifications, I can update the status on that. And I did get your board survey. Thank you. Basically just Mr. Wild, I need to reach out to him because I'm missing quite a few things from him.
I spoke to Rhonda Jarvis. She's the office manager for the Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District, where I took the sexual harassment and workplace violence training back on February 22nd, and she's got the certifications. She's going to email them to me. I thought I'd have them today, but as soon as I get them, I'll forward them to you.
Okay.
And I'll sign up for the, what's the other training, ABO or APO?
Yes. Yep.
ABO. I'll sign up for that. So we'll get all that taken care of.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else for Ally about that? Thanks for staying on top of it, Ally. Executive Director discussion, have you been able to collect any more information, Craig?
No, I haven't. And I'm sorry to say, it's been an extremely busy month, and but somehow I feel like today has been a change. Things, it's a longer day, it's sunny, it's warm. We're out of February for sure. I will get back on track and contact Montgomery County and these others that I have in the binder already.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Attain and Fowler Square, both closed. They paid their fees to the IDA. Adirondack Winery continues to move forward. They got their loan approved, and I think it has to go to SBA.
Yeah, but they've been approved at the loan committee from Glens Falls National Bank, so.
So that continues to move a lot slower than he would expect,
Great.
but great news. We did receive an application. I'm assuming we received it. When I talked to Mr. Badcock at Hacker Boat, he said that they were submitting their application today by email and then by paper copy. So Ally, have you seen that yet?
Yes, we did receive, well, I did. I'm not sure who else was on the email, but it has been received by the office.
Okay, good. So we'll bring that up at the first board meeting in March. So we'll start the process with them.
Yeah.
We'll plan that out. So if you can please send that over to Kara and myself, so we're going to review it to make sure the content is correct. And after, of course, you've reviewed it and looked at it also, Ally.
Okay, yes, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
No, we've kept you busy this afternoon with meetings. You've been watching this funny screen. Okay. Anything under old business? Okay. New business. We have discussed an apartment policy. Kara did collect some information. She got to me this morning, and I forgot to mail it to Ally so she could forward
I
it
can
out.
send it to her.
Pardon?
I can send it to Ellie too. so
Well,
she can-
I forwarded
Oh,
it to
okay.
her. I forwarded it to you. So basically, starting the discussion, can you sort of give us the parameters of what we should be looking at?
Yeah, I think based on some of the other policies or criteria from other IDAs around the state, it looks like some IDAs have taken a position that they only want to allow for consideration affordable housing or senior housing. There's some IDAs that have also allowed market rate housing, which would be, by example, Fowler Square, and they've have different criteria for the different types of projects. So I think you first need to make a decision as to what types of housing projects would be acceptable to you for consideration, and then go through and see. I mean, some of the criteria, I tried to find a variety of policies so you can see some of the range. Some of them are very basic, and then some of them have some really intense criteria that is reviewed and approved based on number of units, cost per unit, et cetera, et cetera. So I think one of the very first questions you're going to want to answer is are we going to allow any type of housing project, or how are we going to limit that, and then go from there.
So interesting enough, and Craig made a reference to this, we both sit on, you're on that Economic Recovery Council, aren't you, Craig? Oh, you're not? Mr.
Michael.
Biddle is, but him, because he made the comment. Interesting enough, what people are finding is that economic development is being more and more based on available housing. And it's driving that to the fact where if we don't have available housing, we can't bring people, we can't bring companies in because, or companies can't enlarge because they don't have available housing stock for their people. So as we look into the cycle, as we have affordable housing or Section 8 or senior housing, that's one level. The second level is that we have affordable housing. There's another level that we have is, I don't want to call upscale, but
It's like workforce housing.
workforce housing.
Yeah.
We have upscale housing, but we have cycles going on. We have cycles going on where there's not enough resources in the area for certain groups. And that's an economic driver because we have a company that's interested in one piece of property who's going to bring multiple employees in. One of their assessment values is there housing stock to house our scientists, to house our engineers we're bringing in, and they're talking about a couple hundred employees. So if you look at this area, there may be a dearth of, maybe a lack of housing stock for them because you have a lot of affordable, we have a lot of long-term housing, but do we have housing to fill that gap? We also find that doctors' offices and medical practices, hospitals and other organizations in trying to attract people to this area have a problem finding housing for transitionary housing to help people make the transition. And they may be here for 6 months or 12 months, they may be interns, they may be resident status. They have a hard time finding housing stock for them. So they're not able to attract people they're looking at. So all of a sudden, I'm going to leave the last one to Craig. All of a sudden, in economic development, it's hard to find appropriate housing stock for people. So there is a trend that's saying this could be, in certain circumstances, be portrayed as an economic driver, which is what we fit into. And Craig, I want you to get you back. I want you to talk about the point you brought in about up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I'm going to need better prompt than that. Was
You were talking about available housing in apartments in North Crypt.
and yeah, up in, I'm just going back to see what that conversation was. That I'll tell you, one of the things that has come out on surveys and through our attracting new residents strategy for the Adirondacks, housing was right on the top of the list of things for a lot of the points that you just hit there, Mr. Chairman, that you have people living here and working, but there just doesn't seem to be enough housing for that sector. And how do you fill in? And then it transitions as well, is that you have older folks that are aging out of their homes. If there was a place for them to relocate, it would free up those existing homes for workforce and others. That's the best I can give you right now.
Well, that's pretty much what we were saying. I think we came to what the comment you made was that if a company wanted to expand or grow or locate up in your area, that there's not the affordable housing, but we have demands from people coming in that are serious about moving to this area and moving outside of New York City and Connecticut, Massachusetts, and other areas, but they're looking for areas that can help meet the needs of themselves, their families, and their employees. And you made the comment that in your area, it would be very hard to find available housing stock, and that may be an economic driver that would help. And without that assistance, you may not get the housing stock you need. But also in terms of affordable, with housing prices, construction costs going like 6, 8, 10%.
Right.
I mean, that's driving housing to non-affordable levels. And one of the conversations of the last meeting was we're going to have to redefine affordable. Redefining affordable means that we also have to keep affordable housing for people in the executive levels, because if they're coming to this area at lower salary scales, they're going to want their housing stock to be as affordable as it was in other places. So, again, redefining what affordable is, because all of a sudden, if housing stock for, I'll use the term workforce or executive housing, is going up 6, 8, 10%, they can be driven on the market. But as importantly, we need to keep that housing stock cheaper, because what about our own residents? I won't say cheaper, more affordable. What about our own residents where housing prices are going up, apartment prices are going up? How can our local people here afford to buy a house or do something else? So there is more of just a little circle. It's not as simple as it seems to be sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that what Regional Chamber of Commerce is finding, or have you looked at this area?
Well, we're losing population in Warren and Washington County right now. So that's being offset by people moving up here with COVID. So the average price of a home has certainly increased. Some places 20–30%. So that's a tough thing. I definitely think there's a housing need. I know we're short here in the city of Glens Falls. We're short in apartments and housing. And I definitely know in northern Warren County, we're short. And then also Mr. Leggett made great reference throughout Warren and Washington County that we have people that have been in their houses, in their homes their whole life, and they don't have somewhere to go in this area for affordable senior living and so on. The only part that I struggle with is myself as a board member of the IDA, I'm not sure it's the IDA's responsibility. That's the only part that I get, that I have to wrap my arms around. And I brought my phone out because on our website, there is a who we are and a what we do. And I know we've had this discussion before, but I think within that, I think we always once a year should review that anyways. And I probably do time to do that, but I'd encourage everybody to reread that, what we do and who we are, because it's really good. And an argument can be made either way when I look at that.
And I think you're right. I think that the COVID time period is redefining how we look at it. And the mission of the IDA is not jobs. Our mission of the IDA is economic development. Jobs are important, don't get me wrong. It's one of the things you should be looking at attracting, but overall it's economic development, not just how many jobs we create.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So.
But where I get tripped up is how far do we go? So are we going to benefit people making apartments and condos, but we're not going to benefit single home builders? Those are the things that I get tripped up on. Mm-hmm. And I like being as all of us on this call do, we like having an equal playing field.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. I'm not saying there's something we don't want to do, but we should make sure we define what we will do and we won't do, so it's not a question mark. I mean, we did multiple, the Fowler Square project which is a PUD and a mixed use, which fits under our guidelines. There'll be other properties coming up to do that also. There's one happening in Lake George, I believe, mixed use property. There is precedent for that happening and being involved. We're also looking at Albany, who has the same issue with affordable housing, is they have the policy and they help people. So I'm not saying we want to go as far as they do, but I think there's room to define a policy to what we do and don't do, so that someone can't come up and say, you did it for them, why aren't you doing it for us? Mm-hmm. You know, and it may come out that we define that we want to be involved in helping we are involved in senior housing or affordable housing or Section 8 housing. So let's define that and make sure that we have something to come back for. That's my only thing that looking forward.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, right now Warren County is embarking on a housing study through the planning department and in conjunction with the EDC. I don't have a timeline for that, but that would identify some of the weak links. And then perhaps we could review those findings and see where an IDA could help to address a weak link if needed.
Okay. Good. Any other contributions to that?
Is there a timeline? We should probably adopt at least get some sort of policy on the books sooner than later. What does a sooner timeline look like?
I'd like to have the policies that Kara sent me sent out to the board members.
Okay,
I'd like to have a discussion at the next full board meeting,
okay,
and then continue the discussion at the executive meeting and sort of find a policy. I'd like to get something in place in a couple weeks, couple months.
okay.
So, fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. WL Plastics, that's been resolved. That their project's terminated. They just haven't filed their final ST 6450.
ST 340, because they terminated after January 1st, 2020. They'll need to file the ST 340 with tax and finance. It'll be 0,
Mhm.
but they still just need to file that.
Okay.
And
So we're notifying them of
Yeah.
that.
Ellie, you need to notify them of that, please.
Will do.
Thank you. Miscellaneous other, anyone else got anything to bring up? No? Okay, I need to adjourn the IDA executive meeting and need to open up the CDC executive governance meeting, and I think the attendance is still the same. I need a motion to approve the February 3rd minutes for WWCDC executive part.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Biddle. Do I have a second? Mr. Leggett, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Ally, old business, please.
Everything that I said at the IDA meeting applies to the CDC meeting as far as training goes and
Thank you very
surveys.
much. Thank you very much. Any new business?
And shout out to Mr. Biddle. Thank you for completing your ABO course. I
Thank-
forgot to mention that before.
I was so excited to do it, and it was a wonderful hour and a half of my life to spend to the cause and the good people in Warren and Washington County. Thank you.
And
Okay.
that means you're certified for 3 years.
Woohoo! Yes. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank God.
Any new business? Okay, I would like to adjourn the CDC executive meeting. Thank you. Thank you for attending. Hopefully next month we'll get back on schedule.
Thank you. See
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you all.